So, I have lots of questions.
In the Theater with J and K.
Visited Niagara last night.
Pardon?
Visited the school.
Well, I saw the picture there.
It was so heartbreaking to see the couches gone.
I'm more curious why you decided to visit. I mean, realize you're there on a weekend, but it has to be so boring to go on a Saturday when there's nothing going on.
I know, but still.
You should have went to the...
Parade?
Was it the Santa Claus parade? I can't remember what they were doing as a mogul yesterday.
Yeah, it was the Santa Claus parade.
Did they do that in Niagara Falls?
They did.
Okay.
By the time I got to Welland yesterday, they're already wrapping up. Actually, I ran into the 280-pound Dutchman.
280-pound Dutchman.
Well, we called him Big Dutch.
It's one of our teachers.
Oh. Was he actually 280 pounds?
He is a big gentleman,
Yeah.
but
He
heart
was-
of gold.
Yeah, he was 300 pounds back in college, but I think he's lost weight.
Well, it's not good to be fat anymore.
No.
It's not good really to ever be fat, but
No.
it's not good to be fat.
No.
I got to work on it. I don't want to be a 280-pound Belgian man.
Teaching at college?
Well, I wouldn't mind to teach at the college.
No, that
I'm
wouldn't be
not
that bad.
qualified to teach at the college, but one day maybe. We'll see. We'll see how this
we'll see.
film union work goes. We become qualified to hide from the union and become a college professor. So, Kevin, David Murphy, welcome. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here, Jesse.
I'm glad you're here. Little backstory. I'm used to having one camera talk. Little backstory. Kevin and I did a radio show for a year and a half, right? 3 seasons,
Yeah, 3 seasons.
right? And we ended up getting a quote unquote sponsorship deal with the Seaway Mall, which
Yes.
allowed us to go see the movies for free in exchange for having to say Seaway Mall Cineplex a unbearable amount of times. That's the only theater that Teal likes to go to.
It's still a pretty good
She will
theater.
quote the Seaway Mall Cineplex whenever we talk about movies.
It felt very nostalgic going there to see Fantastic Beasts last night.
Why?
It just reminded me of the good old days.
You said things have changed, though? I mean, obviously, I've heard that the seats have changed, but what else have they changed about it?
Well, the prices.
Yeah, the
more
prices.
expensive.
Probably, yeah.
They can serve beer there now, or at least I can't remember them serving liquor
They serve
there.
beer there?
They do.
I didn't even see that when we went.
I didn't know that either.
That sounds kind of nice.
Maybe they just added it. It's been
Possibly.
There was a part of me that wanted to go see The Grinch that same night, just because you remember back in the day we usually saw 2 movies on Cheapy Night.
Yeah, we would see the 7 o'clock and then the 9 o'clock one. And then we talk about it the next day on the radio. So it was a good college gig.
Yeah, and then we did, and then we also did 2 old picks of the week because both of us had big DVD collections.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we do 2 new, 2 old.
And usually whoever was not running the board would start us off.
Do you think you watch movies at a similar pace now that you're not in college enough?
No,
Not a chance.
There's no time for
like
that.
this is seeing Fantastic Beasts last night was probably the first movie I've seen in theaters since I saw Last Jedi last year.
But are you still watching movies when they come out, or have you?
I just haven't gone out to out
Okay.
to the theater in a long time
Okay.
because I've just been busy and this stuff just hasn't come to my head. I usually pop in old movies in my collection to watch at home.
So what's the most recent movie you've watched at home?
I would say I was binging through some Alfred Hitchcock and some Stanley Kubrick films around Halloween. My
Okay.
favorite being A Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
I feel like we're getting a lot of film recommendations out of this episode,
Oh.
which is good because we've had book recommendations in the past,
Yeah.
but not as much movies.
Oh, Clockwork Orange is good. Anything Hitchcock. I watched Psycho around Halloween, and then we went to go see Halloween.
Which was
I watched
Fun.
Rear Window and The Birds.
I mean, his most famous one would be Psycho. I like Vertigo. I love Vertigo, actually.
Would you put Vertigo in your top 10 favorite films?
No, but
No?
I love it.
That's good.
So, I have lots of questions.
Okay.
But before we talk about the questions, you've been kind of itching to self-promote. So let's self-promote. Let's talk about what you do. So me, being the owner of DH Media, would like to introduce you to the owner of KD Media, Kevin David Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kevin, once again.
Hi, Jesse.
What do you do?
I
Who embroiders your shirts?
This is done by a printing press where I live in Hanover, Ontario. I designed this logo myself, and they make the shirt for me.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be updating it for next year so it matches my new card.
You know what? Can I see the card?
Of course.
It's a very. You should probably make the K, at least on the shirts, the KDM a little bit thicker. That's very thin.
It is a pretty thin font, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So
I usually go with Helvetica for my fonts in my videos.
Yeah.
Kevin D. Murphy, videographer. kdmediaservices.ca. Is that the same website that we've talked about, or is it upgraded? Upgraded? What'd you do, Kevin? Kevin, can we talk about it? I think we can. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because even you were mad about it. Kevin had a horrible website, and he knew it. You knew it.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't contact from the website.
This sounds like a Frono's Photo website review.
The MVP of DVP, most valuable package. Okay, what does DVP stand for? If I was looking at this website and I read D-Hustler, DVP, I would think that I was in Todd's search history looking up, I'm not going to even say inappropriate, but in essence, looking up porn. Because that's where my brain went with D-Hustler. That's your name. Can't do anything about that. That's fine. But DVP almost reminds me of... Dan, bleep all of that. Thank you.
Doesn't matter. It was a horrible website.
And I agree. I mean, I had little creative control, and finally
But somebody designed it for you, right?
Yes, and eventually I got a call from my sister's best friend who her and her fiance, they were into graphic design. So they wanted to design for me a newer and better website, one that would be easier for me to contact my clients and vice versa, and show more variety of my work, and one I could actually customize, add new stuff as I go along, like wedding teasers and real estate.
So an actual website.
Yeah, it's an actual website. That's what I wanted.
I'm gonna take a look. I'm happy that you did that. And you have your own proper domain, and you have your own website, which is nice. Your phone number. So video production.
Yep.
What type of video production?
Well, I mainly specialize in wedding films.
Yeah, but you say weddings underneath. Oh, is it video production encapsulating weddings, events, real estate, and corporate? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So let's talk KD weddings first.
Okay. Basically what I do is that I take more of a low-key approach. I used to work for a company.
You, a 7-foot-tall giant, take a low-key approach.
To be fair, I'm 6'5".
Okay.
But yeah, I've noticed that in the big cities, especially Toronto, people seem to think that wedding videography is just, you can only have it if you're super rich or whatnot. And I never believed that. I believe that if you're getting married, you're entitled to have whatever you want in your wedding. That's why my packages are a bit more affordable, they're more relatable, and I try to make sure everyone's wedding video is theirs and not a carbon copy of someone else's.
That's fair. One of the biggest problems that we have, and it's worth mentioning as well, is you want affordable wedding packages for the end consumer, but on your end, are they sustainable wedding packages? Like, can you grow a business where eventually you can live off of it? Because that's what we're having issues with right now. We're having growing pains. Honest to God, major growing pains.
Well, for me right now, it's small. Like, this is my second full year with KD Media. And I have a day job with Canada Post.
Right.
And that puts a good amount of bread on the table. Like, that puts up about, at least right now, I'd say about 70% of my earnings for a year. And KD Media makes up the other 30%.
Yeah, when I was doing baby photos and people would always ask me what else I did, I would say I have a wedding photography company. And they're like, "Oh, you must be busy." I'm like, "Yeah." It's hard to say that the weddings are my bread and butter or the babies are my bread and butter. So I say the weddings are my bread, the babies are the butter, and I could do with either or, but they work better together.
In my case, Canada Post is my bread, and KD Media is the jelly.
Okay, so not a butter person, but that's good. You're staying away from the oily fats.
A little bit healthier, yeah.
But so weddings, that's awesome. Events, what type of events?
Actually, I filmed one last week. I filmed my hometown's Remembrance Day service.
You know that back in college we'd get in trouble for saying that because you're not shooting film, Kevin. You're not filming events.
Thank you for reminding me.
People understand it, though.
Of course. Yeah, so I recorded the Remembrance Day service. I was on one camera and my assistant was on the other.
And was that a?
It was a charitable event because.
But what charity?
Well, it wasn't. I'm more donating it to my hometown's Legion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I don't believe in. I didn't want to do this for money just because. Well, I had family that served in the Canadian military. My great-grandfather served on the front lines in Europe during the First World War, and my uncle served in Afghanistan.
Okay, so that's fair. Did you pay your assistant?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good job. That's always important. And real estate. What does KD Media offer in terms of real estate? We're just going through the list to get to the good stuff after.
For real estate, if I'm using just my drone,
Yeah.
I charge $100. If I'm doing just a virtual house tour, I'm doing it for $150.
The virtual house tour, that's handheld.
Handheld.
Using what?
I use my Zygon crane and sometimes my Cameron Manfrotto tripod. Sorry. Got the two mixed up for a second.
We've looked at your stuff.
Uh-huh.
At least on the old website.
But if I'm doing both, and that's especially apparent with farms, I do it for a price of just $200.
That's
Fairly
fair. And then for that, do you contact real estate agencies? How does that work?
Like,
Yeah, I contact them or they'll contact me. Like I did.
Which is more common?
They contact me.
They contact you. That's good. That's you always want people coming to you. You never want to go.
Because I have a few agents that really like my stuff. So they're always calling me, Kevin, can you film this property? Kevin, can you film that property? And usually if these agents have multiple properties to film for me in a single day, like if they've got 5 or more properties to film for me in a day, I give them a 20% discount.
Does that happen often?
That has happened just once so far.
Okay. But that was a good day. You still
That was a very good day. It was up in Wyerton, Ontario. Do you know where that is?
Yep.
It was a bit of a mixed day because sometimes it was really sunny, it was really clear, but the next minute it was raining buckets, and I can't fly in the rain.
Of course not. So what did you have to wait?
Sometimes I'd have to wait, or sometimes we just have to reschedule. Like there was one property, it was so cloudy at the time that when I was finished editing, this isn't going to work. And I just contacted my client and said, is it possible for me to go back to this property and film it again? And it was just the drone stuff. And he said, sure. And I re-recorded it and it looked great.
Well, that's good.
An interesting thing with the drone stuff is if it is a bit of a hazy day or like it's not very clear out, obviously the further you are away from your subject, the more atmospheric conditions are in the way. Like you can get sort of a fog between you and the subject. So like what altitude do you tend to shoot at as your max altitude when you're doing these kind of shoots?
It really all depends. If I'm shooting just say a house or something, then usually I'm only going to be flying at about 40 to 50 meters above the ground.
Okay, so that's not too much atmosphere to get in your way.
But if it's land I'm filming, like because a lot of farmers they really want to show off how many acres they have. I go sometimes almost double that height,
Right.
just to fully show off how much land they want to sell.
Does the original, because you have a DJI Phantom, does the original Phantom have a height limiter? Because I know that...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Mine can fly about as high as 120 meters.
Okay, yeah, that's the same one that comes built into the Mavic Pro, because that's what we use predominantly.
And if I fly, one time I was filming a property about 6 months ago. I was filming land, and the owner wanted me to film pretty far out. And the thing is, if you fly past 200 meters, the drone will automatically turn around.
200 meters away from...
Yeah, 200 meters horizontally.
Really?
Yeah, it'll just boomerang right back to
And
you.
that's with the full-size controller and everything?
Yeah.
Really? I'm pretty sure
Because the signal will... Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eric.
No problem.
Yeah, the signal will get lost. So it'll use a return feature to get back to its signal.
I didn't know that it was limited that way. I know for a fact that the Phantoms and most of the stuff now, if you're using this full-size controller, some of them can go about 2.6 kilometers away from the actual source, which is quite a bit further.
Well, depending on what you're doing, you still want to keep your drone within close range to
of course,
yourself.
legally you need to have it within line of sight when you're working with it, of course. But
Yeah, sometimes I haven't had any line of sight just so... Because some property owners do own pieces of forest. So sometimes my vision is blocked by the trees.
yeah, that can definitely happen. And it doesn't help with signal at all to have something blocking you either. So, but the return to home function is quite handy.
Oh, it's a lifesaver sometimes.
I've had to use it a couple times just when it's getting tricky to see and I don't feel comfortable navigating it. No, because you can't necessarily tell the orientation all the time. If you go to fly, you might fly further away accidentally. So return to home is quite useful in those cases.
Yeah.
But no, I like using the drone. We've done a lot of recreational stuff, but it has been incorporated into, like, we did a music video for a local band, and in weddings occasionally we get to pull it out. Not all the time, but it is fun.
Almost all my weddings so far I've filmed have used the drone for one way or another, like the one I just showed you before we got on the show. That couple was really flexible, so I was able to find the time to get that killer shot I showed you.
Do you find that your couples tend to request the drone, or you just bring it and use it for what you need to do?
Couples usually request it, but even if they don't want to use it, I might bring it along just in case, just to get some good scenery. Because all my brides this year, they've all had outdoor venues. So I've just used the drone to get some nice bird's eye view shots.
Some good establishing shots or whatever it may be. That's good. I guess we have a pretty healthy mix. I'd say most of our stuff that we shoot tends to actually be indoors, at least in recent times. But the outdoor situations, it would be nice to incorporate the drone a little bit more.
Thus far, I've filmed 6 weddings with my business, KD Media, and only one of them has been a church wedding.
Okay.
All the others have been outdoors.
Really?
Yeah.
I like the outdoor ones, especially because I mostly do photography, less so the videography, and being able to maneuver around and not get in anybody's way due to the space of outside.
But at the same time, from a videographer's standpoint, an outdoor wedding can be a risk. Would you agree, Jesse?
There are certain aspects of outdoor weddings that can be problematic. Sound is always an issue.
Oh, yeah.
If it's a windy day, there can be issues.
One wedding I filmed this year, the groom wasn't able to get his mic on, and because of that, the audio, while not completely terrible, wasn't as good as it should have been.
And was that the one that you had said apologized after for missing the...
Yes.
Okay, because that's the thing, right? We had a similar situation, not outside, where the groom's suit was too tight, and there was just no room for like even the lav box. So he said, "Don't worry about it." And as long as we get the verbal cue, because they sign a contract saying that we put the microphones on them for sound quality, and if they deny it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they deny it knowing that the sound may not be as good. So as long as they're the ones that deny it and they deny it willingly, that's fine.
Yeah, I always request, like on my contracts, I say, is the groom okay with wearing this? And I also put a disclaimer that just remember that if you don't want to put it on and it's an outdoor wedding and it's windy, it's not going to sound the best.
The other downsides to outdoor weddings when we're shooting videos, how quickly the obviously the outdoor
Oh yeah.
light can change. So
Yes.
for backup cameras, it's an issue.
You
When
never
I'm not
know
right by them.
when a literal dark cloud will show up and screw over what should be your most important shot.
Yes. I suppose if you're using something on a tripod, it might be in your best interest to set like an auto ISO or something like that. But then, of course, you lose the control of using full manual settings, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
That's true.
That is a screw.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we've never really been burnt. We got burnt a little bit with sound. Sometimes that's the issue. That's the issue that I've had for years is who do you trust for sound? You trust your videographer for sound, but I can't always trust a musician. Justin and I did a wedding, and the musician was playing music, obviously. She was playing guitar. She's like, do you want to plug in? I'm like, no, I don't want to plug in. I don't know you. I don't trust that your system works. I don't trust that you're not going to do something. And I'm glad I didn't trust her because the speaker and the sound system actually didn't really work. So even if I was plugged in, it would have been all, strum, like just cutting in and out. And that was good, but also at the same time, because her stuff didn't work, it didn't exactly translate well to the video either.
No.
So it's difficult, but it's all about the bride and the groom.
Yeah, and sometimes it can just come down to luck.
Yeah. Even if you work with a DJ that you trust, I mean, sometimes things
Sometimes
just
it can be problematic.
And it could be just a compatibility issue, not necessarily that anybody's doing anything wrong. But it's just hard to get it all set up.
Sound. How do you do your sound setup?
For me,
Like a normal ceremony.
normal ceremony.
Yeah, we'll say outside just for being.
Just because that's what the odds have been.
Yeah.
Normally for a ceremony,
All sound inputs. What's your wedding? How many sound inputs?
just the groom on his lav.
Okay.
That's it. Because that's where the most important audio is coming from. Him, and because the bride's only a few inches and the minister's only a few inches away from him, that's the sound that matters.
You don't think that maybe like a shotgun mic on top of your camera would be good for, like, say, the wedding party, having a funny conversation you might
Do you
want to
use
use
shotgun mics on the top
later.
of your camera?
I don't have a shotgun mic yet, but it's on my list for next year. Okay. But most of my sound does come from my B camera, my RX-10 Mach 2, and my assistant, he's the one who operates the lavalier.
Okay.
While I operate my camera, my A6300, because I'm moving around a lot more. I'm either on my crane, following the bride up, or following the bride and the groom down, or I'm on my tripod, filming them in the center.
What kind of lenses do you use with your A6300?
I use a variety of lenses. I use about 4. I've got 50mm, which I use mainly for my ceremonies and for reception speeches.
That's Sony's f1.8, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Just so I can keep a bit of a distance. And I also use, when I'm doing real estate, I've got a 19mm.
19. It's a
Sigma.
prime lens. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I know which one that is.
Yeah, I use that one for real estate just because I need my widest shots possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also got a 30mm and I believe another 19mm,
Another 19.
which I use as a backup.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. The camera didn't come with like a kit lens, like a 16-50 or anything like that. So I know
It came with a 30.
Came with a 30. Okay. Yeah, they had a couple different options on the Sonys for what you get with the,
Yeah,
the
I
camera.
use my 30mm usually during the morning prep and the after ceremony activities, like when I'm interviewing the bridal party and whatnot, them giving their best wishes and best advice. And in the future, I plan to use it also for interviews.
Are you considering, because this is a question that like every photographer and videographer gets at some point if they're shooting with something that's crop sensor, are you considering switching to full frame for any reason in the future?
I'm not sure yet. It's something I'm definitely going to have to think about.
Because like the A7 cameras all in all are fairly great. I mean, there's drawbacks to every camera, but
Oh, yeah.
they're pretty good. I mean, and they won't be compatible with all of your lenses, unfortunately, but they give you a lot of good videography tools, a little bit more rolling shutter, certain drawbacks like that. Great low light capabilities on a lot of on the A7S series especially.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's good enough answer.
But yeah.
'Cause the crop sensor cameras tend to be great for video. I think a lot more videographers stay with something that's crop sensor as opposed to just bothering to go full frames. It doesn't necessarily scale up to all the advantages you could want.
When you, I mean, we're talking about the video side of things. When you get a bride and groom that are looking for video and they're looking for a photographer, how do you go about that? Do you ever see yourself hiring a photographer? Because it's always better to do it under one.
Me? I've had that question asked a few times at some bridal shows. People have asked me if I do photography too. I say I'm not doing photography yet. I hope to get into it within a year or two. Okay. But right now I'm sticking with video just because
it's what you know.
It's what I know best. But like about 2 weeks ago, I had an old friend who was looking for a photographer, and he contacted me, and I had to correct him and say I'm a videographer, but I know a long list of photographers that I've worked with that can help you.
I think it's a natural progression. When we started the first year, it was just video, and that was fine, but it was kind of, I mean, it was just video only in the sense that that's what was hired and the company name wasn't around. And then when it became video and photo, it was a learning curve, but now I love doing both. And I always love going out and taking photos of beaches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
one of my favorite photo and video places is Eugenia Lake. You know where that is?
I do not.
It's a huge man-made lake south of Owen Sound.
Okay.
Just past the village of Flesherton. It's
Fleshington.
Flesherton.
Oh, Flesherton.
Home of probably the best baked goods ever. And yes, you can count that as advertising.
Okay.
But yeah, sometimes when I've got nothing to do and it's either a nice summer day or nice day any day, I just go out to the lake and I film. I get my drone up. Maybe I'll get a nice...
Oh, you've posted those to Facebook then.
Yeah, one shot of the lake. And my favorite shots to get on this lake are when I fly low. Like a bird flying across the water.
Yeah, it's a fun one. We don't have a whole lot of those shots just because we've stayed away from the water a little bit with the drone, but yeah, the risks are not as high as they used to be, I'd say.
But I usually film in wide open spaces. Like I tell the real estate agents that want to hire me that if you want me to use my drone, it is best to make sure it's in a wide open area. Like I'm not going to do one, say, in downtown St. Catharines or downtown Owen Sound or anything like that, just because you're literally sending my drone to the grave.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the drone, so now's the perfect time to segue into my first question and then all the other questions that I have. Eric, I haven't shared the questions with, but I'm sure he'll chime in. Question number one, and one of the biggest issues I have. You said you have drone insurance through a company.
Yes.
That local company.
Yes.
And is that just specifically drone insurance,
No,
or do
it's
you
for
have
all my equipment.
So is it just liability? Is it
It's
business?
liability insurance on my equipment.
So
Not just my drone, my cameras, my tripods, my editing software.
So is it a 1 million coverage? Like what's the coverage?
I have to double check on the numbers. I'm sorry, Jesse.
Oh, that's fine. I was just curious because it used to be that a lot of companies that would insure photography companies specifically didn't cover aerial photography. And we've kind of moved away from that, but I haven't found the proper insurance company to...
I think it might be making a comeback where insurance companies might have specific plans for that, because it is a thing that's here to stay in the industry, and
yes,
lots of people have drones, but maybe they're a little bit less skittish of them at this point, I'd say.
It's one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the next few weeks, finding a new insurance company for the DH Media people.
Should you operate fully within the laws that already exist, like how high you can fly in certain airspaces regarding, the local airports and things like that, and you keep it within line of sight, and and you have the right coverage, and you're not flying near, private property of certain types or all that.
Like I have to make sure, like I talk to my clients, be it both brides and real estate agents, like wherever you're getting married, and if you want me to use this drone, it can't be anywhere too close to an airport, and you need to make sure that if it's for real estate that the owners of the property are okay with it. And that I also need to know how far the property stretches, so I'm not flying onto someone else's land and they're asking 1 million questions for their neighbor.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. You, Kevin Murphy, are a man of many things, and you're a mythical man to some people. Believe it or not, we still quote you quite a bit.
Aw. Wait,
And-
quote? Just the good stuff?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff. Everybody knows. In fact, Eric is well aware of your fond appreciation of Irish Spring.
Heard of this?
What was I thinking when I posted that?
So just stuff like that and whatnot. But a lot of people don't take you for who you are. They see you as somebody that we went to school with. It's unbelievable that 8 years ago we started school. It's unbelievable that 5 years ago we finished school. So it's been a while. So what I want to do today is I just want to talk to you because I don't know a lot about you. I know you, and we've known each other for a long time, but I don't know
We've
a
been
lot
friends
about
for
you.
years.
Yeah. So did you always grow up in Walkerton?
Yeah, for the most part.
And what was that like?
It was basically your small town life. You
Yeah.
wake up, you go to school, you catch the bus.
Okay, but then what was school like? Like you're a creative person, you're a film person, so you might have had different experiences than me, but I didn't always fit in school.
Well, for me, it was near impossible for me to fit in because I had AS, aka Asperger's syndrome.
You say that in the past tense. You still have it.
I still have it. I mean, it's gonna go with me till my
Okay.
grave. But
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about it because that's a big thing nowadays. Still,
Yeah.
obviously. So when you went to school, were you always a film person?
yeah, I started out with it like was always interested in movies and whatnot. I was big. I still have faint memories of when my parents took me to see The Lion King, my first movie ever in theaters, and it was, even for someone who was 3 years old, it was just jaw dropping. Like, I love this so much, I just want to get into it in some way.
So you decided to go filmmaking instead of animation. That makes sense.
Well, not just that, but I was also big into animation. Like, I would always sit back and watch the behind the scenes making of,
Of
just to
course.
realize just how much effort goes into it. Because what looks like 90 minutes on film doesn't mean it took 90 minutes to make.
Oh no.
Like, fun fact, Disney executives thought The Lion King would be a massive flop, and a lot of them put their bets on Pocahontas
Yeah.
to be the next big hit, which is ironic because one movie only did okay with critics and the box office, while another film did a lot better. And The Lion King was that film that did a lot better.
Highest grossing animated movie of all time for a long time.
Probably the movie I've watched most of my life because as a kid I would probably put it on like every day. For
Yeah, you know what?
maybe
There was a
maybe
lot of
year.
VHS repeats. It's been a
What was
while
your
since
favorite
I've-
Disney film, Jesse?
Growing up, my favorite
Both growing up and as an adult.
Okay. So growing up, my favorite Disney movie, it would have been a tie between Aladdin and The Lion King.
That's fair. A lot of kids would say the same thing. And of course, next year, they're both being remade.
Yeah, they're both live action-esque.
And as an adult now,
Disney as an adult. Okay. So
it has to be Disney canon, no Pixar.
okay.
No Pixar.
But it has to be Disney. It has to have Walt Disney Studios logo on it,
Yes.
right? Okay. So if I had to pick the Disney movie that I watch most as an adult, The Santa Claus.
Really.
Oh,
And what about you, Eric?
I watch it at least once a year,
fair enough.
right? I can't remember the last time I put on The Lion King.
Fair enough. I guess I haven't watched The Lion King in a long time. As a kid, and it's sad that I can't pick a Pixar one too because it was The Lion King and Toy Story.
Toy Story, of course.
Toy Story was the one that I probably watched a lot of too. Pocahontas was pretty good. I don't know. I can't think of
Well,
maybe the second
I think
Disney
Pocahontas
movie.
was good. Visually, it was good. Musically, it was great.
Right.
But in terms of character and story, it wasn't as good because I felt the tone was always. It's like they were trying to be this epic adult film, but at the same time, it's still a Disney film. It couldn't decide which one it wanted to be. Whereas with The Lion King, it was able to keep a good balance between the two.
It's fair.
And as far as being an adult, I don't know. So when did Pixar and Disney films sort of
Come together?
Yeah, because I don't know where the line is on that. There's definitely a couple.
Yeah.
I love Up. Up is amazing, but I don't know if was that a Disney thing or is it still just Pixar?
That was Pixar.
That's just Pixar.
Like
Like
where,
if it's made by Pixar Animation Studios,
Doesn't
it's
count.
a Pixar film.
All right.
but see, that's where you draw the line because Disney, for all purposes, owns Pixar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got that
Like-
feel to it.
For me as a kid, it was The Lion King. But as an adult, it's now Fantasia,
Fantasia, okay.
which has kind of been swept under the. A lot of the old Disney classics have been kind of swept under the rug in favor of the new ones, such as Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia.
I did love Zootopia.
Oh, Zootopia was great.
I love Zootopia too, but I just find the older Disney films just connect with me more.
I think the answer was kind of loaded because I'm sure if I put in maybe tonight I'll watch Aladdin. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched Aladdin, but you said what's the favorite one recent as an adult, and honestly, the last Disney movie I watched was probably The Santa Claus. I don't sit down. I think to sit down by myself and watch The Lion King, that's okay. I can't see myself sitting down. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard. It'll be interesting when we have kids because then just showing
You get to
them,
rewatch a lot.
you're just showing them all that. That's great. But no, it would have to be the Santa Claus because
Yeah, like you realize that stuff like this, it still lasts with us to this day, and we want it to last for our children. Like, I grew up watching Looney Tunes with my dad, and my dad grew up watching Looney Tunes with my grandpa. And my grandpa would sometimes go to the movies with my great-grandpa to watch the Looney Tunes war cartoons that were being made during that time, including the extremely offensive ones against the Japanese.
yeah, there is a history of racial.
Yes.
To be fair, they had good reason. But going back to where we were talking about with me growing up or something.
Well, it's some people, and I don't know a lot of people that have Asperger's. I mean, I do know quite a few people, but not as many that have been as open and candid about you as you have
About it? Like, I've come, like,
So
growing up, I never understood why I was different. It wasn't until high school that they outright told me what I have.
But there must have been some major difficulties.
Oh,
in,
yeah,
like,
there were
grade
major
school.
difficulties.
Like, because you're not stupid. You're very smart. So
I-
where did the difficulties come?
It all depended on the subjects. I was never good at stuff like English, and I was horrible at French and certain sciences, but I was really good at stuff like math and history. That's where I was just so focused and in the game.
But that's a good thing to be focused on. I think anybody who's focused on math shouldn't have an issue. Sorry, your son is too. Were you good at math?
I was
suppose?
good at
okay.
math.
Because if you're focused on math but you're not good at it, that's a different story.
That was the one subject I was best at.
What about drama or anything like that?
I did drama in high school. That's actually where I sort of opened up and started communicating better. Because I did have friends before that, like my best buddy Matt and Jeff. Best buddies Matt and Jeff. Yeah, but when I was in high school, I gave drama a shot, and I was able to communicate more with other people. Like the first play I was in A King and I.
Okay.
And I played the captain who escorted Miss Anna to Singapore.
Okay.
Or was it Thailand? Or whatever. Siam. Escorted her to Siam. And then after that, I was in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Nice.
And then Fiddler on the Roof.
Were
And
these
then-
singing roles? Are you a singer?
Yes, I did a little singing in that play.
Are you a good singer?
It was okay.
It's better than me, but that's okay.
I played the innkeeper in Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
And I was also one of the understudies for the lead, Tevier.
Did you ever have to go on for him, or?
No, I didn't have to go on for him, but sometimes I would practice with the guy who was playing Tevier, just so he'd be ready for his role, I'd be ready for my role.
So then when you hit high school and they told you, did it change things? Like, because it's a part of you.
Yeah, it was something that I realized that I would have to live with for the rest of my life. But I realized that if I just tried my best and focused on what I knew I wouldn't totally fail.
And you haven't by any means, obviously. But when you look at it, because like, what do you say? And this doesn't have to be Asperger's related, but what do you say would be your greatest weakness because of it? Is it communication, or is there something else that?
I think sometimes it comes down to communicating with people I've never met before. Like, if it's someone who's I outright meet and wants to talk to me for a while. If it's something simple like asking for directions or asking for the time, that's no problem. But if it's someone, like sometimes when I'm at bridal shows,
I was gonna, because that's where you meet a lot of people.
Yeah. My mom actually comes and helps me because she is a very good talker. The way I see it, she's good at selling a sword. I'm much better at making a sword because my best way of talking is showing couples what I've got either on my booth desk, like this.
Can I see the USB?
Of course.
I like the wooden design of it, especially with the magnet inside, because it lets sort of closes itself.
And what'd you say? The word?
Flash Bay.
Flash Bay. They're nice.
Yeah.
We have some metal ones we got to go through, but that's another thing that we're going through is.
I like the wooden design a little.
I like
more.
the wooden design, but USBs, I think we'll always give them out. But like we can now deliver everything digitally if we wanted to. But we're using that as a moneymaker. It's nice.
People like having a physical representation.
Yeah, and I also disc my short films that I make for my couples. Like, here's the cover for one of them.
Is the standard to give a disc? Is that the baseline, or like do they have to ask for it?
I give it to them.
Okay.
Is it purposely supposed to be a heart?
Yep.
It's kind of cute, yeah.
Yeah, and I usually go with the color, what their favorite color was. For Danielle and Chris there, it's hot pink. Or for Katie and James here, it's turquoise.
What type of disc do you use? Do you use just a blank white writable DVD? Or?
Yeah, and then I design a cover for them.
And then how do you print it?
I have my print shop who design my shirts do it for me.
So are they printing on the disc, or are they printing labels?
They're printing labels.
Okay.
Have you ever had any brides and grooms have issues with them at all?
Not yet.
It's a very good, candid answer. I always get afraid. We do give out DVDs. We just give out white blank DVDs. We could actually print the label itself on the DVD, but I get too afraid about putting a sticker on a DVD and then putting it in a DVD player and having it spin around. It's just an extra weight.
Yeah, I was always good at designing in high school, and also a bit of and I was really good at organization.
So then when a bride and groom get one of these, the photo that's on the cover, is that your photo, or do
That's
you get
mine.
Oh, that's your photo. Is that a screenshot, or do you take a photo of
That's a
them?
screenshot from
I see that.
video. That's Katie and James. That's actually the one that power launched Katie Media.
So the screenshot, I mean, is a perfectly usable thing for such a small image. So if you're shooting in 1080p, I guess the only thing you suffer on a little bit is dynamic range. Not going to be the same as a photograph, but still, as long as it's not.
Yeah, that Katie and James was filmed in Kincardine, Ontario, and it was a great, perfect day. Literally nothing went
On the
wrong.
water, right?
Oh yeah, and Katie and James actually told me that I was the best part of their wedding. I couldn't believe it.
It's very interesting that some of the couples have really sort of like paraded us around in some cases, and it makes you feel like a little bit like a celebrity. I mean,
We got invited to a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
Oh really?
And as somebody that's providing a service, you don't really want to be that forefront character. You want to sort of slip into the background if you can, but it happens, and it feels pretty good, I guess, when it does. I wonder. I want to know what it's like to make those wooden USBs because it really looks seamlessly sort of shrouded in there.
I'm assuming from the looks of it.
Does it clip together?
Yeah. Well, there's magnets.
Well, the magnet is just magnetized to the metal.
Yeah.
Obviously. From the looks of it,
if I bought one of those, I'd have to break one open just to see how they.
Yeah.
How much of that actual space.
Well, don't
is
break
taken
that
up.
one open.
No. But because I bet you it probably doesn't even take up the full length. It's probably a little bit longer than it needs to be just to keep a certain shape.
well, yeah, this very clearly is a USB. It's a fancy USB. It's got a nice weight to it.
Yeah, and usually I sticker them with little labels for the couple, just so they know it's theirs.
Okay.
Where do you put the label?
Sticker, usually on the other side. Usually I put it on one side so the logo isn't blocked.
But you
on
cover
the
your logo.
I'm not covering it on
It's on
both sides. Just
on
one.
both sides. That's fair enough.
Did it cost extra to get it on both sides?
No, it didn't.
Okay, good. Because if it did, and then you cover it, that's kind of silly. So what made you decide to go to Niagara?
Well,
Because that's a drive.
I was very conflicted. By the time I got to grade 11, I was conflict. I still
Yeah, because you
wasn't.
didn't go right to college right away, right? You waited. No, you
Yeah.
took. Well, let me see
I
if I
took a
remember.
leap
Pre-media, and then you took pre-media as well, right?
Originally, I did get into broadcasting.
Okay, I'll let you explain it. I don't remember.
I got into broadcasting, but I failed the first term. That's right. I say it. I failed my first term at college. So
before me.
before you, and then I went down to pre-media, and I took everything I could, studied really hard.
What did you
and
fail? Like in the first year?
Radio.
Oh, well, that's okay. I almost failed it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I sucked at radio, believe it or not. I had a good voice, but I
And
wasn't.
yet we both had a show together.
Yeah, and it sounded horrible most of the time.
Yeah. But after that, I went down to pre-media and studied really hard, and I eventually got back in. I actually got 100 in one of the courses. It was the one, I can't remember which course it was, but in that course, I had to do a presentation on a form of media, and I chose propaganda.
Okay.
I presented a Donald Duck cartoon from World War II that detailed what life is like for a Nazi.
Wow.
And it turns out Donald Duck was just having a dream, and he wakes up in his very patriotic American bedroom, and he just kisses the Statue of Liberty, just so grateful that he's a U.S. citizen. It's actually interesting because at the same time, I was watching a Russian cartoon made around the same time, and the way the Soviet Union made their cartoons is very different. Like, they were a lot darker, they were a lot tougher. The way they portrayed the Nazis, they portrayed them literally as pigs in their cartoons. Because that's what they usually called them, fascist pigs.
Right.
I feel like I get a bit of enjoyment out of going back and watching some of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
to
yeah.
See where the
Oh
culture
yeah,
was
it's
at.
interesting because in Disney's case, if they didn't make those cartoons, they would have gone bankrupt.
Well, it's interesting to go back and watch anything. Like, they used to make infomercials on pedophiles. Not infomercials,
Yeah.
but like the docudramas about pedophiles and stuff like that. Or, gay people. They'd be like, he is probably gay.
Usually mix the two
You
together.
got a gay.
Yeah. So, very, very interesting the way that things used to be portrayed. And I'm sure 50 years from now, people will be like, well, it was very interesting the way they
But yeah,
portrayed things.
after
back then, too.
I got my stripes back in pre-media, the following year, I was welcomed back into broadcasting, and
then that was, so you took pre-media 2009, 2010, and then broadcasting started up again in 2010?
Yes.
Okay.
then in 2010, I was welcomed back into broadcasting and met you and the rest of the gang.
And then schooling for you, I went film. Kevin went television production, so we had a little bit of time together. We actually didn't have too many classes together.
No.
We did. We had Lestraco together.
Yeah, we had Lestraco. We also had the Twan.
Right. And then we kind of went separate ways. He did his TV stuff. I did my film. So after you graduated, and you graduated on time with me, so you didn't have issues. So obviously the pre-media helped, right? You did.
It did. It helped me immensely.
And you passed, and that was good. So what did you do right after college? Because
after college, I was in a bit of blank identity, really. I wasn't sure exactly what I was supposed to be doing. I was looking for a job endlessly.
Okay.
And I got a few small part-time jobs, looking for stuff in Toronto. And then eventually, I got an answer off Kijiji ad for a guy who was looking for an assistant. His name is Craig Schuldeis, and he became
Schuldeis Media,
and he became something of the Yoda to my Luke Skywalker, if I may. Where he's the one who really got me interested into weddings, so I helped him edit that and other corporate stuff, and then he gave me a recommendation for Princess Cruises, which I'm sure you were going to ask me about.
As I said before, you did something that I've always dreamed of doing, and I know that it didn't work out, but it's really impressive that you went. Kevin went to go work as a videographer on a cruise ship. So you told me not to talk about it last time, 2 years ago, but I just want to know. So
I'm
got it.
cool with it now.
Okay. So what was the process like?
Well,
you were referred to Princess Cruises.
Yes.
So what was the interview process like?
They interviewed me over the phone.
Over the phone.
And just was honest and truthful about everything, and eventually...
What was the pay like?
I can't remember really.
Was it?
It was good. Well, it wasn't a whole lot, but then again, I didn't need to spend a whole lot since they were providing me with
the free
a cabin
room and board,
and free food, so I didn't have to worry about stuff like groceries or gas or anything like that.
Okay, so one phone interview, and then they said, what, show up at this airport? And
they provided me with a ticket and a hotel room, so I boarded a flight to Aruba.
Nice.
Yep. Stayed the night on the island and then boarded the ship the following morning.
Was that nerve-wracking? Because I bet you they weren't. It's difficult going into a new job here, but to have to fly to a different country and then get on this giant ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I had never sailed like this before in my life. I mean, I went on my uncle's sailboat a few times when I was a kid. But
bet you that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was behind me, my family, my friends, so there was a great sense of pressure because...
So when you went, they were obviously embarking that day?
Yeah, they were...
So what was the training like on the ship?
Well, I had to be trained in more than just video production.
Of course.
I had to be trained as a sailor.
Yep.
I had to go through muster drills, everything. That I was really good at, because I was really good at taking and giving direction.
Because you're a videographer, but you're also, if something were to go wrong, you're in charge of. Well, you're not in charge, but you're told to make sure that the passengers are safe.
In those situations, you're not a videographer, you're not a cook, you're not a blackjack dealer. You're a sailor full time in those situations.
So, what was the training like? Was it just the first day, or was it like?
No, it was. We had to go through it. Usually, we'd have to go through drills once every 2 weeks, and also at the start of every voyage, we would have to lead the passengers through the safety drills because they got to know this stuff too.
Yeah,
otherwise there's no point in them getting on the ships.
I've done it many times. Before they disembark, everybody has to line up at their stations that they're supposed to.
And if you don't show up for the drill, they're going to publicly call your name on the intercom.
Yeah, they do. They're pretty good about shaming.
And I imagine for them it's humiliating.
Mm-hmm. Well, nobody.
And I just go roll my eyes and say, "Well, their loss."
So then after that, as ship videographer, what did I'm assuming your entire duration, nothing went wrong. You didn't ever have to be a sailor, right?
No, nothing ever went wrong. We never hit an iceberg. Pirates never attacked the ship.
Well,
pirates never actually attacked the ship. Sometimes we'd have to dress up as pirates for show night.
Okay. So, since you never had to be a sailor, what did a...
I was a sailor, but I wasn't Didn't have to
you
go
never
into
had
the
to do
emergency
the active role of sailor. What was a weekly life like for a cruise ship videographer?
Basically, the procedure was get up, have breakfast, film the events on the ship. I had to film the events because when we reached Alaska, they would only let American videographers film on ground.
Oh, because you went on excursions with people too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When I was
That would have been so badass
would be
to
really
be
cool.
paid to go.
yeah, like I remember going on excursions in Colombia, and that was so much fun.
Like,
And also on the islands like Jamaica, Costa Rica.
so you saw a lot.
I saw a lot of Central America, but I was also really upset when it ended because I was so looking forward to seeing Machu Picchu.
So you do the excursions, and then do you document the shows at night or something like that?
Usually there were two of us, me and a senior. Because of the situation, the legal situation, I would document the stuff on the ship. He'd document the excursions.
Because of
So,
the legal
I d-
situation.
Huh?
Because of the legal situation.
Well, I wasn't only the Americans were allowed to film on Alaskan
Oh, right.
soil. Which
Okay.
really, I was really disappointed about because there were also train excursions to the Yukon.
Ooh.
And I was asking, is there any way I could film these train excursions when we dock in the Yukon? They said, nope, still can't do that since you're starting in the U.S. So that kind of put me down just because I felt like I wasn't being useful enough. And eventually the pressure kept on building and I just couldn't.
So what pressure? What was the turning point? Because so far it sounds
About 3 months in, I sort of came to
and it was a
the
6-month contract, right?
and I ended in 5.
Okay.
I came to the realization that I don't think this is for me. But I couldn't admit it just because I knew I just had to stick it out because I came from a family where Murphys don't quit. And I still stand by that, but so I just kept on plugging it, and I made some mistakes, and everyone was supporting me, but nonetheless, by the time 5 months were up, it became clear to everyone that I needed to go home. And even I admitted it.
So they who opened the conversation? It was Princess Cruises, or
Yeah.
you opened it?
Princess Cruises opened it. Everyone was sad to see me go, but we all realized this is for the best. I was really upset that day.
Of course.
When they dropped the bomb, because I was saying goodbye to friends I'd probably never see again. Like, I made a lot of friends from South Africa. Like this one guy, Gabriel. If you're watching this, Gabriel, hi.
Are you friends with him on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do keep in touch.
Oh, I keep in touch with all
That's
those guys. Yeah, but he was a guy who was from South Africa who was about as tall as I am.
Okay.
And usually, sometimes in the bar, the people from the Commonwealth countries like me, the guys from South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, sometimes we'd have arm wrestling contests. And I usually arm wrestled Gabriel. I would win sometimes. He would win most of the others.
So what you're saying is Gabriel was a weakling, if you could beat him.
Gabriel was physically stronger than me. There, Gabriel, I said it.
So what was the disembarking like? Did they take you back to Aruba, or was it the next port of call they
Vancouver.
fly you? Oh, so they brought you back to Canada. So that's
Yeah. The funny thing is, I hadn't talked to my parents for some time. And my mom blamed...
just because the way it worked, or you were
Just because I was so stressed.
Oh, okay.
And I felt like I needed to just face this. And my parents were like, you should be talking to us every single day.
That's hard when you're working on a ship, though.
It's a lot.
That, and I was also trying to prove my independence both to them and to myself.
Okay. So so the ship says, Kevin, you're a great person, but we feel this isn't working out. You humbly agree. You say your goodbyes. The ship docks in Vancouver and you get out, or they flew you to Vancouver?
The ship was docking in Vancouver.
So what was the voyage? Because you started in Aruba. Did you switch ships, or did they
No,
switch
I didn't switch
their...
ships. It's just that in the spring months, it's sailing around the Caribbean.
Okay.
But when summer comes around, they sail up the west coast to Alaska.
Okay, so starts in Vancouver, goes to Alaska. That's neat.
Goes to close to Anchorage.
Okay.
So On Sunday, you're reporting in Vancouver. When you arrive on Saturday, you port in Anchorage, or the closest seaport to it. And then the following morning, you turn around with the next set of passengers, and it was basically just one giant
So it's just a 3-day cruise?
week cruise.
Oh, it's
You'd
just...
sail through Vancouver up to the ports along the way.
Okay.
Eventually, you'd reach Glacier Bay and the other...
Visually stunning.
Oh, Glacier Bay was amazing. I wish I still...
Would you go back on a cruise? Like, as a guest? Not
As a guest, I think I would. It would all depend on where I'd go. Like I said, I want to visit Machu Picchu someday.
It's a dream that anybody can aspire
It's a
to.
long flight though from here.
To Peru, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to South America?
No, I have not.
Yeah,
I consider it for sure.
It's great.
So, you're in Vancouver. They fly you back to Toronto, I assume.
Yeah, Toronto, and my dad's waiting for me.
So you talked to them at some point.
Yeah. They knew something was going on, and I told them about a week before.
You know,
They knew things, and then my mom was just bombarding me with 1,000,001 questions.
as mothers do.
Yeah.
Okay, so it didn't work out the way you planned, but really at the end of the day, it seems as though
Go on.
you still told your parents, you faced your fears there.
Uh-huh.
And even to say that a Murphy doesn't quit, sometimes things just don't work out.
Life can be a bitch sometimes.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm sure you didn't feel very good after.
After that, I was in a depression for almost a year.
Like an actual clinical depression, or you were just upset?
Upset.
Okay.
After that, I worked various jobs. Like the first job I worked after that, I was working in a printing press in Durham, Ontario.
Okay.
And a friend of mine said, "Kev, this is draining your soul, man." Like I was literally it was 12-hour days in the winter months, so I was slowly withering away.
So
eventually they let me go, and then I worked up at Chapman's Ice Cream.
So when you say they let you go, like they fired you?
More or less. They were just I think they were just getting tired of me. So then I worked at Chapman's for, my probation had ended at that job. And with Chapman's, it was the same thing. Probation ended. Chapman's was a major improvement for me because it was a much healthier.
Like a Chapman's factory?
Yeah, Chapman's factory in Markdale, Ontario.
That's
the ice
cool.
cream place.
It's delicious.
Oh, Chapman's is the best.
Did you get staff discounts?
I got free ice cream.
Free ice cream?
I got free ice cream, man. And
that's
after
difficult.
that, I was starting to get better.
Okay.
I felt more alive, and I felt like after Princess Cruises, I said to myself, I'm never picking up a camera
Yeah,
again.
I was just about to ask that because when you left, you probably felt it would either be you're defeated because you
I
know,
said to myself, I might as well work as a blue-collar slob for the rest of my life.
So then what changed your mind? What brought you back?
A buddy of mine, my Yoda, came to me again,
Okay.
Craig Schuldice, and said, "Hey, we're filming a horror movie up in Owen Sound right now, and we could use some extra help. You want to help us?" And I said, "Sure." So I did that. I helped him and his friends out with filming. The name of this movie is still hilarious to me. The Hexecutioner.
Yeah, that was a while ago because you talked about this the last time you were here, and I still don't get the humor.
Yeah, but whatever. I just laughed when I heard it. But yeah, I felt better, and I felt like I was working with my own kind again. And it was balancing out with Chapman's. They were even glad I was able to bring them free ice cream.
Well, of course.
They were like, "Kevin, hey look, Kevin's here. Ice cream. Ice cream. Hey, can I have a rocket pop?"
So you brought individual ice creams, or just
I
tubs?
usually brought a whole tub of Neapolitan. And they all loved that.
And the Chapman's factory didn't care?
They didn't care. Actually,
sounds
one of my
horrible.
co-workers at Chapman's was friends with the producer of the film.
Okay, so
Yeah,
a little bit of conversation.
Yeah, and everything was going good, and then it happened.
Just stick your penis in ice cream?
No, not that.
What happened?
My mom got a call from a friend who said she knew someone who was filming a documentary across Canada, and she enthusiastically wanted me to work for this guy.
What was the documentary?
The documentary was about the robocall scandal. Do you remember that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Keep talking. I'm just going to check our cameras.
I wasn't really sure if I wanted to, just because I was doing so well at Chapman's that I didn't want to break it. But my mom was just like, no, Kevin, you got to do this. Because I was still, even though I was getting better, I was still a little down about losing my job on Princess Cruises. But I decided to just go with it and give it a shot. And the guy in question, I won't reveal his name, but he was pretty nuts.
Really?
The director?
What?
Yeah, he was nuts. I was his assistant, and he was just...
What was your main role then as the assistant?
I was his assistant. I thought I would be getting great experience, but I was more or less his errand boy.
Oh.
But why was he nuts? What was the issue? 'Cause
He used to work for CBC,
Okay.
and he was laid off during the Harper years.
Yep.
And as I'm sure you know, the robocalls centered around the conservative government.
Yes.
So on the outside, it seemed like he was doing this to help Canadians come together, just unite against Harper. But in reality, I think he was doing this because he was mad about losing his job. And I sort of realized this is kind of like how I'm feeling with losing my job at Princess.
Okay, so there were some parallels that you made.
But then I realized there were some differences. Like, I was willing to forgive and forget, but with him, he outright compared Harper to Adolf Hitler.
Well, some people still do.
Well, yeah, but then I realized, wait, even though I don't like Harper, I'm not willing to go that far.
No?
No, I was not willing to go that far. I even wrote an article on Quora, the question answering website. Someone asked, what disgusts you? And I just said, I hate it when people compare certain people to some of the worst people in history, because you're taking things too far.
It's fair.
And eventually he was just really demanding. He was really rude. And eventually he was just like, said, I'm getting tired of this guy. Pfft, send him home. And so...
Did you get paid?
A little bit.
Okay.
And then he just kicked me out and told me to go back to Walkerton. So I did. Eventually returned to Chapman's, but then about a few weeks later, I got laid off because my probation ended. But I think I would have stayed longer if I hadn't left. And so after that, after the next 2 months, I was still looking for another job, and then I took a job in Toronto for a wedding company.
Right. Was it you that you were having issues with? We talked about.
Huh?
Did you have any issues with them or no?
I did.
Are we allowed to talk about that? Don't mention the company name. Let's just talk about the issues that you had.
It started out good. I was learning more. A lot. Actually, a bit of how I built KD Media is built on how they edit. But midway through, I was starting to realize maybe this isn't the best thing for me, because
You were just editing for them.
editing. I did a little bit of shooting for them, but I was mainly editing.
You did a good job editing. I remember that stuff. It was very
thank
well
you.
shot and very well edited.
Yeah. But anyway, these people, they were mainly money focused. They were money focused.
Okay.
Entirely. And sometimes they wouldn't pay us. Eventually,
How did you get paid? Was it hourly or was it were you a contractor or an employee?
employee,
So you were an hourly employee?
hourly,
How much were you getting paid?
18 an hour.
18 an hour?
But they would skimp.
Okay.
But eventually, I was just getting tired of it, and by March of last year, I blowed the whistle on them.
So who'd you call?
The government.
Did you get your money?
I did eventually after they fired me.
Huh.
And my uncle, when he found out, he was pretty ticked that I was fired for doing my civic duty.
Well, of course, they had no reason to fire you for that, but they should have been paying you.
And then after that, I realized I've learned everything I need from them. I'm going to get a real job back home and finally build KD Media to what I think it should be.
And the real job was you've been in Canada Post ever since.
Yeah, I've been at Canada Post since July of last year. And I got to say, it's been the best job I've ever had.
You're a delivery person.
I'm a delivery person.
So you're it's not mailman anymore. You can't say that. So you're a mail person?
I'm a mail person.
So that's what would be on your resume.
Yeah.
So that job, I see mail people every day. You start when? What time?
Me, I start at around 8 in the morning.
And you end?
It really all depends on the weight of the mail.
That's an honest answer.
Because I usually sort the mail for about an hour and a half. Mondays and Wednesdays are usually my heaviest days because Monday, all the mail is backlogged from the weekend.
Okay.
And Wednesday is usually the day Farmer's Digest comes in.
Okay.
Well, that's what I call all the farmers' papers.
Okay.
Because I work in Wingham, Ontario, and there's a lot of farmers and a lot of Mennonites in that area.
Okay. So you sort for an hour, you start at 9. What do you go 9 till 5? Like
Then by around 10 o'clock, I'm ready to go and start my deliveries.
and that's all walking or you drive?
I drive.
Oh, you drive. Okay.
Yeah, I drive, and first I start sorting the mail in the parcel compartments. Then I head out to the countryside, and that's probably where I'm happiest because I get fresh country air, and
Do you
I
listen to music on the?
Yeah, I listen to music. I usually have 2 playlists I listen to. One is my Disney Road playlist,
Okay.
which lists all my favorite Disney songs from 1986 to present day.
Okay.
So I call it Disney Magic. Disney Road, 30 years of magic.
Okay.
And the other is my J-pop, Japanese music.
Okay.
Yeah, I listen to that because
Sharply contrasting, but
Yes.
it keeps me motivated because I watch a lot of anime.
okay. And nothing else. Day in, day out, it's Disney and K-pop music.
J-pop, there's a
Oh,
difference.
sorry, J-pop.
Well, it's just I like to stick to a schedule,
Yeah, that's fine.
and helps me stay focused.
And then you're paid by the hour there. You're not paid by the delivery, right?
Paid by the hour combined with the amount of parcels I have to deliver,
Oh, so there's a nice little.
and that all varies. Like Christmas is coming up, so I'm probably gonna have a lot of parcels to deliver soon.
That's a lot of money. You're like a Santa Claus, delivering presents.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess you can say that.
He has a better beard, but
What's wrong with this?
it's not white.
You got a problem with the beard, mister? I've been growing this for over a year, you
You
know.
can tell.
Yeah.
I can't grow it that long. I'm seeing what I can do, but it's not. It's going to be a long time coming before I have something like that. But I would not be able to have that on my face. You know, if you shaved your mustache, you would look entirely Amish.
Yeah. I can see that.
Or Mennonite-ish. Like, my mom's been joking to me that if I did shave a mustache, there'd be a lot of Mennonites that would want me married off to their daughters. Because I'm so tall.
You know what, Kevin? You just throw in the best segues. I've wanted to ask you this forever. It's one thing we've never covered, but it's worth asking.
Oh, boy.
How old are you now?
27.
Okay, let's talk romance, Kevin Murphy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go back. Grade school. What was it like for you with girls in grade school? Most people have horrible stories, anyways.
I couldn't tell the difference between the two. Between girls and boys. I just talked to them, but as I grew older, by grade 7, I realized, most of us realized there is a difference.
Okay.
Because puberty was right around the corner.
Yes. So you did you have any high school girlfriends, anything like that? I can't remember.
I had one, but it didn't work out.
Obviously. So how was that? What was that? Is that your definitive high school girlfriend experience? Or are you always going to be thinking about her as you grow older?
I don't know, but by college, I was like, I think I'm just going to stick to my studies.
Well, I remember Kevin Murphy that swooned over a lot of women in
La
college.
la la la, I'm not listening.
I'm not mentioning names, but you did swoon over a lot of women.
Well, okay, I did, but I never had the guts to take the jump.
You know what? Sometimes they weren't worth the jump.
And sometimes I regret it.
Uh-oh.
Got a cameo.
A
incoming from
cameo.
Justin.
Hello.
Making a cameo.
Yes, you are.
So many lights.
And at this point, it's about an hour and 20 minutes into the podcast.
Hello.
Oh, it's not
Hi.
Hello.
Bree, this is Kevin.
Hi.
Kevin, this
Hi.
is Bree. Justin's girlfriend, Justin. Kevin, Justin.
I don't know Kevin.
Oh, we know each other.
Say hi.
Hello.
What'd you do today? Anything
Oh, there's a
fun?
Santa Claus parade.
Santa Claus parade? Which one? The St. Catherine's?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was okay.
No, it was better than okay. It was great.
It was that went
Sure
down
it
St.
was.
Paul Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week or next year, we're going to be in it. You're going to be handing
hope
out
so.
candy. Yeah.
What's he gonna? Is he gonna be Santa Claus or
No.
is he
No.
gonna be one of your little elves?
We're going to do a
Little, I
Grinch.
don't know.
So they're going to be who's
Wait, he's gonna be a who?
or what?
Is this a for sure thing?
Yeah.
Like
Set in stone.
100% set in stone.
And is he gonna be the Grinch?
Yes, I'm going to be the Grinch. I just have to make the phone calls and set up for next year. Just ran out of time this year. And we didn't have the mask and whatnot.
Wait, does
Yeah.
that mean he's gonna be Max?
No.
Yes.
I guess he could be.
See, I do have
You'd
good
be my
ideas.
bitch.
We'll see.
That's right. But bye guys.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Face, though.
So grade school or college, I will say that you liked quite a few women in college. You
was-
say you focused on your studies, but I beg to differ.
What college boy doesn't?
That's true. It's very true.
But yeah, there was one in college that I think really liked me, and I was starting to realize that she liked me. But by the time
In our course or just somebody else?
in our course, I won't say who, but
Can you say it off camera?
I'll tell you. I might tell you off camera
Okay.
later. But
I'm
yeah,
curious.
but afterwards, that person had moved out west.
Oh well, now
So
you've just given
by the
it
time
away.
I fully realized that I liked her, I felt like I was too late, and after that, I just realized I just had to focus on what's in front of me. And then, actually, while I was working at my job in Toronto, I actually went on a trip out west.
Okay.
And that was really what I needed to get over Princess Cruises.
Well, everybody needs a journey.
So I decided to fly to Calgary, get a rental car, and drive all the way to Tofino.
Tofino. Where is that?
That is right on the edge of the country, on Vancouver Island.
Wow.
That's a drive.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I drove all the way through the mountains.
Bet you it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And by the time I reached Tofino, I got down on my knees on the beach and splashed my face with salt water.
Okay, it's not where I thought you were going there, but
No.
What were you thinking?
well, my question next
Shouted
is
at God or something.
you're one who got away, moved out west. Did you see the one who got away?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's good. But now you're back here. What's the dating life in Walkerton like, Kevin?
I kind of a few dates, but for the most part, I either don't call back or I just forget their phone number or something.
Well, that's not a good way of doing romantic business.
But anyway, I just try to stay focused on Canada Post and KD Media because right now that is what's most important.
hey,
for me.
job focus is good. That's great. I think everybody focuses on different things at certain points in time, so there's nothing wrong with that. And you said you're Canada Post full time, and at some point you think you're going to buy a house.
Well, I'm not full time yet. I'm getting close.
What's your designated part time? But you
I'm a part timer. I'm what's called an ochre. My job right now is to fill in for people that are going on vacation or have had to take a leave of absence or to fill in routes that haven't been filled yet. And that's what I've been doing. I've been filling in for a route for about 6 months now.
okay?
And pretty soon that route will be opening and I'll be applying for it.
Do you think you'll get it?
I think there's a very good chance I will get it
Okay, that's good.
because that's my key to getting my own place.
You're obviously qualified. You've been doing the route, so
Uh-huh.
that's good.
But a good chunk of it comes down to seniority.
I guess that's fair as well. Well, you're old, so
Thank you for admitting that.
I know it's seniority in the company. You are older than me, though. You were born. How old are you now?
I'm 27. I was born at the end of 1990.
Yeah, so just a little bit older. What's your birthday again?
December 28th.
Right, that's why 1990. So Eric's younger than the both of us.
24.
Aw.
24.
That much younger though.
No, 24, 26, 27 in February. This was good. I think one of the things is I always look back at our radio show stuff with a weird fondness because, and I'm sure I've told you this, when we started the radio show, I shot the pilot assuming that we wouldn't get it. I was thinking the same thing. I didn't do well in radio, so I'm like, they're not going to give me a radio show. But when nobody wanted to do a radio show with you, I thought, whatever, let's try it. Yeah. And it worked. But as we went along, we saw movies, we argued on the radio, so I never got to know you. You're not a bad person.
Neither are you.
I quote things about you all the time. Mm-hmm. Several things I can't say on this podcast because it directly mentions people's names. But it's cool. You've been through a lot. Your business is growing. It's a good thing, but what do you want to see happen with KD Media? Like, what's the next step? What's your next goal?
My goal for next year is to get a lot more agriculture in KD Media.
Help me.
Like,
Sorry.
Agriculture? How? What? Agricultural?
Like more agricultural photos, more videos, stuff like that.
Paid agricultural stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like using my drone to just help farmers, help the agricultural community.
Out to Tilsonburg and promote tobacco farms.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh.
Help the tobacco industry a little bit.
Yeah, it's the industry you want to help. Well, no, that's good. And how about weddings? Are weddings looking strong next year? Or?
So far, I have one booked for next year.
Okay, that's good.
It's a start. Like, my goal for next year is to have 6.
6 is good.
My goal, last year I said I want 4, and I got 4.
That's
the year
good.
Before that, it was 2. So I'm hoping that in 2019, I'll have 6. And that's good because it gets me ready for the big one in 2020.
8?
Huh?
8?
No, a wedding that I'll be filming in 2020. That one is going to be here in Ontario. The other is a destination wedding.
Oh, what wedding?
It's.
Where are you going?
I'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
It's a surprise.
Is it your wedding?
No. It's a client. I'll be filming their wedding here in Ontario. The bride's from Canada.
Okay.
And the groom is from...
The undisclosed location.
Yes. So I'll be filming the wedding in Ontario first. Then I'll be filming the destination wedding afterwards, which will be 2 months later. Okay. So if anything, every wedding I've filmed to date, every wedding between now and then, we'll be getting ready for that wedding.
Destination weddings are awesome, Kev.
Yeah. Because that'll be the one that'll
Is it tropical?
It's not tropical.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah. I always find the tropical destinations, I like them, but they seem a little too predictable.
Well, most weddings are.
Yeah, but, like, for me, like, when I travel, I don't like going to the tropical paradise where you just sit on a beach drinking a margarita.
I feel like that was a slight jab at me.
It does sound like one.
Hey,
I like traveling to places like I said, I traveled through the mountains. I like traveling to like places that have a lot of history to it. Like I want to travel to Peru. I want to visit Machu Picchu. I want to visit Scandinavia, England.
Where in Scandinavia?
Norway or Sweden, because my mom did the Ancestry.com thing, and even though I'm Irish, turns out going back even further than that, there's Norwegian in me.
He's Irish, but he can't hold his alcohol.
It's a genetic trait.
Oh, I remember.
But you're Belgian. You can't resist waffles.
That's true. I do like my waffles, but you know what? I don't like beer. I'm not a beer person. Give me whiskey all day, but not beer. Never.
Yeah. Bringing up the ancestry stuff, Ed, you've never done like one of the ancestry tests. No, I'd be interested in doing that. That'd be a fun thing.
Where do you think? Where do you know your ancestry's from, Eric?
A mix of European people.
We
I don't
could do
really
it
know.
on the podcast.
Because my
Talk about it later.
like my mom did, and when I look at the immediate members of my family on my dad's side, my dad and his older brother, they're obviously Irishmen. They look like Irishmen. They talk like Irishmen. They drink like Irishmen.
So when you say you did the Ancestry.com thing,
My mom did it.
so is that just the genealogical stuff, or did you do like the because Ancestry.com's doing their own DNA test, and you didn't do a DNA test.
My mom did it, so she did her
Okay.
test, and she did my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, so she found out there's a bit of Norwegian going way, way back before Ireland.
Huh.
And me and my dad's oldest brother were the biggest beard people on his side of the family, and that was. My mom was like, "Okay, if there's any other proof we're descended from Vikings, it's you two."
Okay. I don't think you'd make a good Viking.
You don't think I'd make a good Viking?
No.
Got the height.
You have the height, but I've seen you run.
Vikings didn't have to run gracefully.
I know, but he's not great. He looks when you run, you look like you fall over. Like,
I'm not a fast runner, but when I took karate, I was a pretty good kicker.
yeah, you were a karate person too.
Whenever we were in sparring, they were just, I think my opponents were like, "Oh, please, for the love of God, don't let Kevin kick."
Well, if you kicked, you'd hit their face. You're so tall.
Well, my kicks were pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think they said I had hammer kicks or something.
Well, that
And my mom also did karate. She actually had a nickname. They called her Black Tiger.
that's racially and culturally insensitive.
But also dangerous.
Yes.
She was a black belt.
Well,
And also her Chinese zodiac sign was the tiger.
okay, so it's less racially and culturally insensitive, but do you still do karate?
No, I actually, when I got my job in Toronto, I had to give that up. And by the time I moved back, the dojo had, my Kiyoshi, that's the head instructor, he retired. And I really couldn't,
So the dojo was no mo.
I guess you can say that, but yeah, I was just like, if he's retired, then I really couldn't imagine anyone else teaching me but him.
So your Mr. Miyagi went bye-bye.
Yeah, well, he retired.
Well, you have a game for us, and I think it's a game that we can.
I'll need a pen. Oh,
I gave you a pen. It's a game that
All
we
right.
can end this show with.
All right, let's play the game, boys.
I was hoping there was going to be more controversy, but quite frankly, you're just a good,
right.
normal dude. I was hoping there was going to be
So,
arguments.
Eric, you get to go first,
Okay.
if that's okay with Jesse.
Well, okay, you're on camera. You have to explain what we're doing.
Here's how the
Kevin.
game works.
Don't talk to
I'm going to give you.
Talk to the camera.
I'm going to give Jesse and Eric my summarized quotes of the 10 movies I hate the most, going from least hated to most hated out of those 10. And these are my very brief one-sentence summaries of
So
them.
they're not quotes. They're
They're not
summaries.
quotes from the movies. They're
Okay.
my opinions. Okay, so here's number 10. This movie is the definition of a slap in the face. Here's the list.
Slap in the face.
That's not a summary.
That's my opinion.
Almost every movie
I'm-
could be a slap in the face.
I'm just gonna guess Son of the Mask because there's faces involved.
You are incorrect.
Okay.
Jesse, it's your turn.
What's the quote?
This movie is the definition of a slap in the face.
You've seen pretty much all of these, and I've seen for sure one. So I think you might have the advantage. Although I'm sure I'm gonna get the one for the Last Airbender.
Howard the Duck.
Wrong.
Really?
You both want the answer?
Sure.
It was The Last Airbender.
Really?
Because
I didn't get that.
This
one.
movie is the definition of a slap in the face because the movie itself was so insulting to the show.
It was insulting to the show, but
So a slap in the face to the
guess.
show. Okay.
I mean, they kind of just made stuff up that wasn't actually in the.
Well, they totally missed the point of the show.
Yeah.
The next one is number 9. Well, I have to destroy this movie 9 times before it gets out of my head.
You're not like referencing to,
That's my very brief opinion. Eric, guess what it is? 9 times.
9 times. Felix the cat, 'cause it's a cat.
You're
Yes.
correct.
All right.
I got
Seems like
that
the most
now.
logical thing.
All right. Since you guessed correctly, you get to go again.
Okay.
All right. The next quote is, how exactly is this a kid's film?
Okay. Something that would be inappropriate for kids. But intended for kids at the same time. I'm gonna go with Alone in the Dark.
You are incorrect.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a kid's film. And that is not intended to be a kid's film.
Garbage Pail Kids.
You're incorrect.
Son of the Mask? No. Food Fight.
You guessed, your first guess was
Jerk.
Garbage Pail Kids. The correct answer was Son of the Mask.
I would say that's not necessarily a kid's movie.
They marketed it as a kid's movie, but it was too horrifying. All right, this next one is easy, and I'll give it to you, Jesse, out of fairness. Duck Tits. Nuff said.
Well, it'd be Howard the Duck.
You are correct. All right, next one is go back to Tenacious D. Which one would you like to go? Oh, Eric, you want to go?
Go back to Tenacious.
Go back to Tenacious D.
Is Jack Black starring in this movie? Because
He's not starring in the movie, but he made a brief cameo.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know which one Jack Black was in. Battlefield Earth Food Fight. I don't know. I'm gonna give that to Jesse. I don't have any answer.
Shit.
Too bad Tenacious D was one of them, so it was a good movie.
Tenacious D made a brief cameo in the movie.
Yeah, but I can't remember. Master of Disguise? I can't remember. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's either... I don't know.
Is that your final answer?
Sure.
The correct answer was Biodome.
Huh.
Next is, I think this one should be pretty easy. Too bad it can't disguise itself as an adequate movie.
Master of Disguise.
All right, the next one is, I'll give that.
Exactly know how this pointing scheme is working, Kevin.
Me neither.
I'd like to say for the record that Toy Story had a lower budget than this monstrosity.
Okay. That's the quote?
That's my opinion of the movie.
Oh, okay. So what was the budget of Toy Story and what was the budget of those that were made?
Your options left are Battlefield Earth.
I'm going to say
Food
Garbage
Fight.
Pail Kids.
I'll go double on that.
You're both wrong.
What?
The answer was Food Fight.
Oh.
Food Fight had a higher budget than...
But Food Fight came out... When did it come out?
It was supposed to come out in 2002, but apparently someone stole the footage and they had to totally redo it and it came out in 2012. I know inflation is
Yeah,
a thing,
because almost
But
any
still,
movie that
nonetheless,
came
that
out in
does-
2002 would...
But still, that nonetheless proves that Toy Story obviously put in a lot more effort.
Well, yeah.
The next one is, believe it or not, this movie is so bad it once ripped the fabric of reality.
Rip the fabric of reality.
Your options left are Battlefield Earth, Alone in the Dark, and Garbage Pail Kids. You can go, Eric?
Alone in the Dark.
Wrong.
Okay.
Battlefield Earth.
Garbage Pail Kids.
I'm not very good at this.
No,
No.
but I try to avoid these movies.
All right, the next one, it's come down to a process of elimination between these two films I hate. This is bad, just bad, and it's either Alone in the Dark or Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth.
Alone in the Dark. Lovely.
Son of a bitch.
There's a 50-50.
Yeah. So, one for...
What a riveting game, Kevin.
All right, and I'm sure you can both guess the last one. If 2001: A Space Odyssey is my favorite film of all time, this is definitely the yin to that yang.
Battlefield Earth.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have to watch that because it's terrible, apparently.
Oh, it is bad.
Yeah.
I've watched it once.
All right, so the winner was...
Not good.
It's a tie.
Lovely.
Good job, Eric.
Comparison between someone who's seen 9 of the films and I've seen 1.
I've seen. I bet you each movie outside of the Master of Disguise and maybe the Son of the Mask. Did we review the Son of the Mask?
I I think we should have.
Out of all those movies, I've only ever seen each of them once, except for The Master of Disguise, which I've seen quite a few times because it's Kevin's like sex
Favorite-
tape almost.
What? It's not a sex tape.
When he's lonely at night, that's what he watches. That's why he talked about it so much on our radio show.
That's the Jesse I know.
It was just Master of Disguise, Master of Disguise. This is sexy.
So, out of all these, which one would you say is the worst?
The worst?
Yes.
Food Fight.
Really?
I didn't like The Last Airbender.
Well, not a lot of people did like The Last Airbender.
Are they remaking that as another movie or TV show?
I think they're remaking it as a Netflix original series.
Okay. That's
Which,
what
honestly,
I
I just want to see a third series after Korra, which I think a lot of people want to see.
Okay.
The way that they radically switched things up for Korra, it'd be cool to see them switch it up again.
Like the way I see it, Avatar: The Last Airbender is set in our equivalent of the 1850s, around the time of the time Canada became a nation or whatnot, and Legend of Korra, which is set 70 years later,
the 40s or something?
1920s.
20s, really?
That was a time when things were really booming after the First World War. Like, movies became a thing, and so I'd love to see a series set in the even further future, like a point in a sort of cyberpunk world.
Yeah, I could see that working.
Like where it becomes sort of a war between traditional bending and modern technology, which is better. And do you watch Game of Thrones, or?
I don't.
Oh,
I'm waiting till it's done.
okay.
That's my excuse. I'll wait till it's done.
Well, no,
To start.
Yeah.
I've been burned on other shows that just end so horribly or don't have an ending. There's so much flippin' stuff out there to watch.
I know.
If it's a narrative that is entirely like the entire point of the series is contingent on the fact that it's going to end in this like absolutely amazing and story driven story, like it's all going to pay off.
Beethoven finale or something.
If they drop the ball, it's kind of like that we talked about before. Is the journey really going to be worth the shitty destination? No. So if they drop the ball, just be like, then I feel as though it might not be worth it.
Well, I'm a big fan. Like, me and my friends, we all get together when the show comes back on. We'll play board games. I've got Game of Thrones Risk, and we always play that right before the game. And we'll order pizza. Or for the season finale last year, we had a potluck. We all barbecued. Like Jeff, he cooked on the grill, and I cooked in the kitchen. I cooked homemade crab burgers.
That sounds pretty good.
Yep, homemade crab. Well, actually, store-bought crab.
I was going to say,
Crab store-bought, yes.
if you grew your own crab, that'd be impressive.
Yeah,
I've always said that Kevin has crabs, but not in that way.
but yeah, homemade. Yeah, homemade Krabby Patties. You could call them.
Be patty.
Well, that's cool. Well, that's fun. I have a friend. We're watching through all the James Bond movies. That's what we're doing. We get together, we have a drink or two, and watch through the Bond films. That's fun.
Which one did you watch last?
The last one we watched was...
From what I remember, you're on fairly modern ones by now.
No,
No?
not quite. I can't remember the last one we watched. We didn't watch one last week. In Living Daylights, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But we're inching closer towards Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan's the best.
Well, I disagree, but that's okay.
I like them as Bond.
I like a lot of them. It's interesting to go through them all. Like, people make fun of Sean Connery, but no,
I love Sean Connery
He
Bond.
beat women. Like, that's what they make fun of him for. But holy crap!
Yes.
To look at it from a perspective of, yeah, this isn't right, or the amount of times they actually say no, and he still goes for it. It's like, Jesus, this is awkward to watch now.
Yes. Times have changed.
They have, but that's okay. Well, Kevin, do you have any parting words?
It is great to be back in Niagara, even if it's just for 2 days.
you
I'll
know
be heading
what?
back to Old Walkerton tonight.
How long's the drive?
About 3 hours.
And what do you do on the drive? Do you have a 3-hour Disney playlist?
You could say, Hey, that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to drive really slow when I deliver mail.
Well, I guess that's fair. Alrighty. Well, it has
And
been.
I've also got a lot of classic rock on my phone.
Okay. So then that makes more sense. It's been fun. I know we don't see each other very often, but Walkerton isn't easy to get to.
Yeah, you got to go through the QEW, up through Hammertown, then through Guelph, and then you're in the boonies.
Like, I don't even care about the drive itself. It's just that's a long drive, and I like you, but that's a long drive.
I know.
That's a
But-
commitment.
If there's one thing I've learned on my travels, it's that life is a journey, not a destination.
Okay, it's fair. It's all in how you look at it, obviously.
Yeah.
So how would you rate your journey so far? Are things on the up and up? It's always nice to end the podcast on a good note.
I think they are on the up and up.
Okay.
I mean, there might be some bumps along the way, but the thing is, you got to be both optimistic and practical.
That's fair. Well, it's been great having you. If you ever become an author, we can have you back on. If you ever decide to run for mayor, we can have you back on as well.
And if I decide to have a podcast of my own up north,
We got to
You should-
drive all the way out there.
hey, it's only fair. I've come down here
Yep.
twice for you,
Well,
Jesse.
I'll come up if he has. We can go up.
Yeah.
And if you ever decide to become an escort, we got your back too. I don't suggest it.
This is a medium for all peoples. This is the medium for all peoples.
So, thank you, everybody. This was fun. I always like seeing Kevin. I had fun.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for coming. Although
you for inviting me.
you seem to enjoy yourself last night, anyways. It's your dinner and movie. Though I don't understand why you stayed in Niagara Falls if you did all your stuff in Welland.
Well, I came to Welland just to reminisce
Yeah.
on the good old days.
Okay. So then, before we finish, what are you like? What when you go to the college? What do you feel?
I feel like
I was gonna end it, but that's a good question.
I feel young again. Like,
But do you feel old every other day?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
But what about it? Like, you're the equivalent by going back to the college, and I know we've talked about it, so I'm guilty of it too, anyways. But you'd be the equivalent of the high school jock who's living his glory days because he's wearing his letter jacket. Like, what are you reminiscing when you go back there? Why are you? Yes, you're older, but what's wrong now? What made the college days so much better?
I don't know. When you graduate from college, you think to yourself, there's so many things I wish I could have done or wish I could have done better, but
In college?
yes,
Okay. So what do you wish you could have done better?
maybe get a few better grades.
Well, that's fair, but you still passed. You see
Yeah.
the diplomas on the wall; they don't show the grades.
That's true.
So, and I don't think I've had any job interview where they've said, "Hey, what'd you get in this course?"
Me neither.
So, yeah, I am just curious because I reminisce about different things, but not necessarily at the college. Although it's always just kind of neat to go back there. But
Yeah.
I get it. You're in high standings. One of the other people we've been thinking about interviewing is we're going to try to get Dave Lestracco on.
Lostraco.
Yeah, we tried to have you on first because that way he can talk about you and we have current stuff.
Oh, so you can cross-reference?
Yeah.
Sounds fair.
So, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
This has
thank
been
you.
fun. It's always neat. As I said, I think we accomplished it. We personified you.
Yeah. Well, my plan is to help KD Media keep growing.
It's great. And I think I feel as though you've talked to me a few times here and there about your turf, quote unquote. The wedding industry is a $4.2 billion a year industry. There's enough money to go around. Even if I decide that we're going to expand to Walkerton, there's enough money to go around.
I suppose so.
So this just in, DH Media is opening up offices in Walkerton. Stay tuned. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
And this means war.
Wave to that camera, Kevin. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.